welcome to 4T's Media. My name is Kaide Bentley, and I'm president and founder of a youth development organization named 4T's Teaching Teens to Think, a youth development organization whose mission is to help inner city youth identify their inherent skill set, meaning what they do naturally, in order for them to complete their education, establish a career, and ultimately start a business if they choose to. In the last video I shared with you one of the team members I had the privilege of and have the privilege of mentoring, and you saw what you saw basically, and as promised I mentioned that I would share with you some other discussions that I've had with other teens in my various partnerships with youth development organizations that are in partnership with my organization, 4T's. These next young men I'm going to introduce you to, or you will see, in these videos, and I'm going to be brief, in these videos we discuss 5-year and 10-year plans, military, what college is preparing students for, and discovering inherent skill sets. Note that in the beginning, what you'll see is my animation that I use to connect with the teens. Very effective, and it lessens the amount of anxiety that's included in these type of discussions, especially with the demographic that I come from, which is the inner city, whereas they haven't been, unfortunately, prepared and prepped to articulate pretty much what their plans are, especially as it relates to education and for a larger part, for the most part, or the bigger part, career and entrepreneurship. So you're going to see right now, I'm going to share with you right now, we have a discussion regarding 5-year and 10-year plans. One of the teens, in fact, is still in their both of them are still in high school, but one in particular is in their freshman year, pretty much, in high school, freshman or sophomore. And they still have some time. So they were given a 10-year plan, and you'll be surprised to hear how he mapped out his plan. The other two in particular, in their senior year, and pretty much shared with me their 5-year plan, whereas it includes college, of course, but also a year out of college. Check it out.
All right. I don't even know how. I can't even see myself. Whatever. All right. So I want to add. All right. So.
Not big in it.
All right. So my question to you three distinguished gentlemen. I'm proud men, and I'm proud to be here and coordinate and mentor. Where do you see yourselves in, I want to say 10 years, but I think that's too, I'm not going to underestimate y'all. What grade are you in right now? What grade are you?
Senior.
You're a senior in high school, freshman in high school, senior. So we have 2 seniors, 1 freshman. So for the seniors, my question to you is, where do you see yourselves in 5 years? Well, my question for you is, where do you see yourself in 10 years? So I'm going to start with Michael, since he's a freshman, and then end it with the seniors, because you're supposed to be more mature and patient anyway. Yeah, I thought, yeah, you on camera making that face. I got you on camera. All right, so Michael, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Now, keep in mind, you have 4 years, including now, of high school. So obviously your first 4 years is going to be completing high school. So that's a given. But once you get in your senior year and you start thinking of college or employment, where do you see yourself from that point on is my question.
So from like senior year, I hope to be able to get a scholarship for football or basketball and work hard during the school year. So like if I don't get that scholarship, I still probably got a scholarship for my education. And when I hit college, if I got a scholarship, I'm trying to balance out work, college, and all that. And but my main focus is my education and my sports.
He mentioned sports. after high school, right? Education. My question to you, you're a senior in high school. What are you doing right now in regards to your 5 years? What are you doing right now to prepare for whatever? You going to college or you plan on starting a career?
I will go to college, but what I'm gonna do first is I'm going to the Marines after high school. So,
Why are you going to the Marines after high school?
cause they talked to me about it. Like I talked to a couple of recruiters over there, and some of my friends are in there too. But it's like they told me all the benefits that make so much sense to me. Like with all the benefits that they have, it will make life that I want for myself so much easier. Cause the thing is, they pay for your college. They pay you like right after you come out from boot camp, and after that you start getting your annual salary, and then you work your way up from there. And the higher the rank is, the larger the pay. But my main focus right now is I'm gonna go to college. I don't want to pay for that, and they cover that for me. So I see that as a good benefit for me, because after I come back from boot camp, I'm going straight to college. I'm gonna be out of state, do what I gotta do, come back, and I'm gonna be working. And then after that, I'm gonna settle down and become a doctor or something.
Pretty impressive, huh? Well, now, in an effort to be brief and short and not have this video take too much time or be too long, we also discuss the military. Now, I want to place special emphasis on this particular piece, segment or topic, as it were, in that I am grateful to God for those servicemen and servicewomen who voluntarily and courageously put their life on the line for us. It is indeed a great, great honor bestowed upon them for operating in such a courageous and heroic manner. So I am saying this to say that I in no way, shape, or form make light of the service and the protection that they provide in the military service. I want to make sure that that's absolutely clear. As one of the teens share that after high school they plan on going into the military, I challenge his decision on that. With relation to what has developed over the years, the history of this country, to a large part, but more so recently, I would say within the last 20 years, whereas you've had politicians in office who didn't serve one day of their life in the military or in the service. And I'm going to clarify that, and I'm not going to be too long when I say this. They didn't serve not one day in military service. Neither had their children served in military service. And it's been proven through fact that some of the reasons were actually dodging the draft, actually finding loopholes or excuses not to serve. And I get it. I understand. Shoot, I wouldn't want to serve either. And I've never served. My father has, but I haven't. The difference between me and them in regards to my viewpoint on this is, one, I'm not in public office. I didn't run for an office to serve the people. That's one. And number two, I'm not saying that those who haven't served in the service, people who haven't served in the service, wouldn't necessarily do a bad job. What I'm trying to emphasize is the fact that those who have served actually dodged the draft and have used the military for their own personal gain or ego. That's my issue. I think it's unfair to put other people's children's lives at risk for one's own personal gain or ego trip. I have a problem with that. I have an issue with that. Had I been in that position serving, like I said, I didn't run for it, have no plans on running for office, but I would at least have some decency and consideration, I hope I would, to factor in or put myself in a parent's place to say and weigh all the options in regards to going into this war. Now, I know it's easier said than done. You know, I know I'm not in that position. I don't know all the, the ins and outs and, the politics involved and the gray areas and, the shenanigans and the backdoor deals made, in that office. I get it. I understand that. But I would hope that I would have some consideration for those families, children, especially if I myself had children and wouldn't be comfortable with my child being in the service. Common sense. But common sense isn't common for everybody, right? So I wanted to put special emphasis on that as we have this discussion, as the young men share, their viewpoint. One young man in particular shares his viewpoint on the military. And I just wanted to emphasize that. Again, you can't deny it, it's a fact before we go into the clip. We can't deny it, it's a fact that we had a president in office, Barack Obama, who not only captured but killed Osama bin Laden with the least as possible casualties, as opposed to his predecessor and his possessor, if that's the right word, who, thank God, his possessor didn't have, the opportunity didn't present itself for there to be a actual breakout war, because who knows what would have happened with that. But I don't want to get any further with that and get off topic, but I'm just saying, have some decency and some consideration, especially if you have children of your own, to think twice before you get in the war, especially if you're not having your own children get in war as well. And again, there's more history to it, I'm sure. There are politicians, presidents who have gone into war, quote unquote, probably for egos, and their children were in war as well. So, there's definitely precedent for that. I'm just saying, we as a people, humanity, have been doing a very poor job in recent history in how we look at war. So, with that said, I hope I clarified. Thank you, service people. Thank you for your service. I appreciate you. I thank you. I just have opposition with those who are in leadership positions who are not on the front lines with you and realize what's at stake and the depths of their decision in regards to taking that action and going into war. I have an issue with them. So, check it out.
Who agree with Joshua's decision in going to the service? And I'm not saying him going to the service is a bad decision. I'm not necessarily saying it's a good decision. But how do you feel about that? How do you feel about going into the service right after college in order, the purpose of service is to pay for college, because that's how they have it set up, because tuition is that expensive. So how do you feel about going to service right after high school? Good decision?
Same. I feel like it's a good decision. He gets to go to college and he gets paid as soon as he's done with what he's doing.
Okay. Now I'm going to drop some science on y'all, some knowledge for y'all. Mr. K is going to drop the knowledge. All right. All right. Here's why I want to give you both perspectives. I'm not saying going to the service is a bad thing. I'm not saying that. I think serving your country is a very good thing. All right, so let me make that clear. The problem or concern that I have in regards to going to the service is that you, in essence, to a degree, sign your life to service in the military. What that means is whoever's the president of the United States, whatever disagreement that they have with another country or whatever conflict that they have with any other entity, you are the first to be called to put your life on the line for this country. That in and of itself is not bad, because we enjoy the freedoms that servicemen do, so I have no problem. But if you have someone in office who hasn't served in the military themselves, and someone in office who has children who hasn't signed their children up to serve in the services themselves. Basically, if you have someone in office who's a draft dodger and don't know the ramifications of what it takes to serve in the military and protect this country, you're putting your life at risk to some extent needlessly. I want that to sink in, okay?
It is what it is.
It is what, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I want us to have a dialogue or discussion about it. I want you to engage. It is what it is. But what is not, I think that's a flippant statement to the extent that if you had a loved one, looking at it from your parents' perspective, that you cared very much for, right? And they decided to make a decision similar to going into the service, and someone caused, or just say, a war needlessly, and that person you love, life hangs in the balance, whom you might not see anymore, how would you feel about that?
I'm not gonna lie, I would be scared.
Exactly. That's what I need you to understand. That's one thing regarding the service. It's set up this way because college in and of itself is expensive. How many of you know how much college tuition?
So you heard my stance on it. I know it might have sounded like I was against, the whole military thing and all that, but I'm glad I was able to clarify it pretty much in the beginning. All right, so you really have a clear understanding of where I stand on that issue and where my concerns were with regards to that. That young man choosing to go in the service. I just want to make sure that they realize the decisions that they're making. Okay, so you heard it, you got it. The next topic we talk about was college and what is college actually preparing them for, or what is the higher institutions preparing them for. I have to give a disclaimer to this as well. I am not against education. I'm not against higher education. I believe education is very valuable. But there's been a change over the past decades with regards to education, and it's been a change, in my opinion, for not the good. I don't want to say for the worst or worse, but and I say that particularly in regards to this point. Before, in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken, a college education was free. It didn't cost you anything. And we see the results of that. We had some very educated individuals coming out of college and things of that nature. And there's been a lot of changes since then. And again, I don't want to be long-winded, try to be mindful of my time. But that was during the industrial age, pretty much, right? And then we moved into the information age, where to a large extent we're in now and embarking on AI, artificial intelligence. And the big issue that you're going to see in the clip that we talk about, and my take on this in regards to what is college preparing you for, is what I didn't mention in the clip is, and I didn't get a chance to mention it to him, is college education for the most part is teaching the populace how to work for someone. And when bringing that up, it kind of rubs some people the wrong way. It makes them, that's a very sensitive topic for some people, because those in the education field or in that industry obviously are trying, to protect their jobs. And that whole statement is precedent. What it kind of projects is to either change the educational system to teach students to become entrepreneurs, right, or buck the whole educational system in its entirety. And that obviously rubs people the wrong way because that's their job, that's their source of income, right, living. So whenever entrepreneurship, that whole thing. And I want to clarify that, okay? Not everyone is cut out to be entrepreneurs. It's simple. Not everybody want to be that. As a matter of fact, majority of people don't want to be entrepreneurs. It takes a certain mindset, a certain tenacity, a certain persistence, a certain conviction to actually be an entrepreneur. For those in the educational field, don't worry about it. What are you stressing for? It's not going to be the case, right? But the education system here in this country does need to be looked into and does need to be modified and changed because it's antiquated, it's outdated. And that shouldn't rub anyone in the wrong way because that's just an opportunity for those of you who are in the educational field to expand, to learn, and to improve to make the field that you're in that much more better and much more beneficial to the students who entrust their lives, along with their parents, who entrust not only their lives but their monies to you, their time as well, so they can become productive citizens. So instead of looking at it as a either or, look at it as an and, so to speak, in order of combining different methodologies, teaching techniques, et cetera, to produce more qualified, educated citizens to help the United States become competitive again in the global market or the world market. Because we're looking real bad. It's embarrassing. So, had to give a disclaimer on that, make sure I'm clear on that. So that's one of the things that I didn't get a chance to share and talk at length with these young men. But that's a feeling. But what we did talk about was college tuition and how going to a prestigious four-year school doesn't guarantee you anything, and that's a fact. We know that. And how some of the majors or concentrations that students go into college to study for in their freshman year, upon graduation, there have been cases and facts where that certain industry doesn't even exist anymore. Again, because we're transitioning from the industrial age to the information age. So it's going to be real interesting. Like I said, I didn't get too in depth with that. This is my opportunity to share with you, the viewers and subscribers, more in-depth detail that I am having in discussion with these teams, but we just couldn't cover it in this clip. And I want to take this time to say thank you, subscribers and viewers, for staying on. I'm telling you, I'm coming with some bangers. We're going to have some stuff, some real insightful information that you can learn from and provide some insight on the youth today, particularly the teen demographic. These are the discussions that we're having, and I think you'll be impressed by. So again, without any further delay, check out this clip on what we talk about in regards to college and what is college preparing students for.
Some scholarships don't even cover for the tuition too.
There's colleges that got tuition from like 50,000, like 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 if you get a scholarship sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
As he said, them scholarships don't even cover their own cost. There's like certain scholarships that do, but those are like sports scholarships and hard to get scholarships. You like have to work, my language, but you have to work your ass off to get.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'm going to close this out. We're going to continue these conversations, but I'm glad that you're getting some of this information because I don't want to overload y'all. Here's some facts for you. There are students who have went to, and this is one of the things I'm going to talk to you at length as well, prestigious four-year colleges. So this is why this is important for both of you, your seniors, for you to know when you get to this point. I want to emphasize this. I need y'all, and I mentioned this yesterday, I need y'all to find out what you'll do naturally. Because what's happening and what y'all have been programmed to think is that you go to school, you get a good education, you go to college, you can get a good job. That was how it was back in the industrial age. Now let me explain something to you. Anything you go into, you should do your research on. So let me ask this question. What do you think colleges are preparing you all for? I know that's a broad question, so answer it the best way you can. And don't worry, you don't have to have a right answer, but it's just a general question I want to throw out. Not all three of you have to answer. One person can answer, and that's fine. But what do you think college is preparing you for? What do you think the purpose of college is for?
I think what it prepares you for is to get a degree. So it's like, once you're in there and you come out and you graduate, you have a degree that signifies that you got your education. That means you're able to, like, you know, it opens many opportunities for you. But the only issue with that is that, let's say you wanted to work, you need experience. And sometimes colleges don't give you that. So there's a downside to that. So you could go to a job and they could say, hey, you got your degree and everything, but do you have the experience? And when you don't, you know, that makes it like a little harder for you to get the job. But other than that, I think the only thing that prepares you for it is to get degrees and stuff, so that it signifies that you have your education and like whatnot. Like all the things that you needed to take care of your school is there, it's done.
Very good. Good answer. Like if you go to a job and you have your degree, they're gonna be like, this is great, we see you're accredited, is the term that they use, or various other terms, but do you have any on-the-job experience? All right? So here's another thing which is very good. You could go to college. Some scholarships don't cover your full tuition. So you graduate college and you still owe somewhere in the areas of $30,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 in student loans. And the job you're gonna get directly out of college isn't gonna pay you nearly enough to pay that loan off within 10 years, if that. The other thing is, when you go to college, one of the key things you need to be aware of as you're in high school, which is why I say find out what you do naturally, is because you want to select a college that's going to cater to what you do naturally, not a college that's prestigious and a college that, you know, if you get a degree from this college, you guarantee a good job. Because I'm going to tell you this, that's a lie that they told you. A college does not guarantee you a job. What it does guarantee you is debt, but it does not guarantee you a job. So that means if you go to a prestigious college, there's a couple of factors you gotta be. What you have to know what your major is. How many of you know what I mean by major or concentration? You know what I mean? All right. They are students who have gone to college for a specific major, takes 4 years. Do you know after 4 years, that major that they studied, that industry doesn't even exist anymore, or it's on its way out. So you have this piece of paper that says that you graduated in this particular field of study, and that particular field of study is on its way out. It's not even lucrative anymore. It doesn't even exist anymore. So you primarily wasted 4 years of your life in school, and you have debt to show for it, all right? So when I say know what you do naturally, part of your strategy in regards to higher education is to pick a college that caters to what you do naturally, that offers courses in what you love, whatever that may be. If it's related to math, you could do accounting, financial management, things of that nature, whatever it is. There's a whole bunch of those fields that I will bring to you, I promise, that you can refer to, right? So you want to be aware of that. Also consider you don't need you don't need to attend a 4-year college. There are 2-year colleges, community schools. There are trade schools that actually teach you a specific skill or trade that you can get a job upon graduation that pays you money.
Pretty impressive, right? Yeah, I know. You know, they're on point. These young men are no joke. But let me calm down. Excited for them. The final topic we talk about that we discuss is pretty much the premise or therefore mission of my organization, 4Ts, Teaching Teens to Think. And this has been a long and arduous journey, one that I'm excited to see come to fruition, in that its premise again is on inherent skill sets. And this is how can I say this? This is a area that a lot of educators and people in general haven't even fathomed or never thought of it this way. And part of my job and part of the challenge that I've had with my organization in trying to reach more youth, students in particular, parents and collaborators, other youth development organizations, is to help them grasp the concept or wrap their head around inherent skill set. What is that? A majority, it's a fact, you can look it up, a statistic, don't take my word on it, look it up. I would say, I'm being modest with this number, but I would say close to 85 or more of the population that exists today, not only here in the United States, but in the world, where there's an economy and a workforce, are on jobs that they do not like and to some extent can't stand. But they have to survive. Now again, this goes right back into that whole education thing again, and the entrepreneurship thing. Everyone's not cut out to be business owners. Everyone's not cut out to be entrepreneurship. There's a small percentage of humanity who are cut out to be entrepreneurs. So stop worrying and stressing. But there's a lot to be said for with regards to inherent skill sets as far as the populace, because someone could be naturally good at a certain area, whether it's numbers, and work for a company as an employee, but doing what they love. That's a win-win on both sides. That's a win-win not only for the company and their bottom line, but it's also a win-win for the employee, because they're going to a job that they naturally do. Now there's more studies, and I'm gonna get more in depth in later conversation in regards to with regards to purpose and passion, right? So they may be on a job that they're doing what they naturally do, but they're not passionate about it, right? So I mean, that's delicate. We gotta delve into that a little deeper, but that's not for this conversation. But it's a start where somebody's working on a job that they do naturally, meaning they do this in their sleep. They do this with little to no effort. It just comes naturally to them. So if you think about it in those terms or from that perspective, how could they not, or how could it be as grueling as working on a job that you're doing something that you can't stand? Right? You got this job because you wanted to see if you could do it. Or you apply for this job because you just needed money. You didn't do any research on the job. You didn't find out the company's bottom line, what the environment was like. You didn't do your due diligence, right? You just saw that there was an ad in the paper, or a recruiter, you put your resume gave it to a recruiter or employment agency for the most part, right? Based on your work study program as you grew up, summer youth program or youth program, and these are things that you did that served as your track record in regards to your work experience, right? And you just followed that trajectory, right? And let's include college. You went to college because this sort of field interests you. You wanted to see if you could do it, right? And you committed to it, and you put enough money in there, so you had to complete your college education in this particular course or in this particular concentration, only to find out it's not really what you wanted to do, but what else can you do? You already invested, you already spent 4 years, you already got a degree in this field, right, for the most part. So you find yourself, quote unquote, trapped in a profession that you can do, but it's not your inherent skill set. It's not something that comes natural to you. So now you try and map out as best you can in this life's minefield of changing careers, mid-course corrections, things of that nature. For many of you, you don't even have that option to do that because you're already committed. You already have a child. You got a mortgage you got to pay. You got rent. You got all these responsibilities, financial obligations that you can't even afford to switch careers right now. You have to stay in this field for as long as you can until hopefully you win the lotto or the lottery. Come on, right? I'm kind of close. Come on. Yeah, come on. Let's be real. Right? So had you known about this, or had someone brought this to your attention early on in your life in regards to, well, what do you do naturally? What is your inherent skill set? and then you map out your 5-year, 10-year plan in high school before you commit to the 4-year college in a field that relates to at least something that you're naturally good at. Tell me you wouldn't have had a better outcome in life. Tell me, come on, don't lie to me. All right, and then we'll get into that as well. Some people, young people, don't even know what they want to do. Right? I hear that a lot too. Oh, don't be pressured by people telling you should know what you want to do at this age. That's a fact. That's a fact. Especially inner city youth, your peers, they know what they want to do. They're trained early on. Right? They got it on lock. You don't have that same luxury. Just keep it real. All right? But if you want to take a liberal arts course, that's on you. That's up to you. But it's in your best interest to find out what you want to do now, but find out what you're inherently good at and what you love to do as soon as you can. You better take that pressure. You better take it now so that way you don't have to deal with it later. Real talk. But I get it. And we'll have more conversations on that as well. Again, I want to put this plug in here. Comments. If you like the information you're sharing so far, like, subscribe to the channel, and add comments. I'll do a session on that as well. And we can talk about that as well. And I can share some insight and bring the people in my network in to give more insight or to answer some questions that you have. But getting back on track. That's what we've talked about in this discussion in regards to discovering your inherent skill set and how it flies over a lot of people, adults, professionals, even entrepreneurs' head. Inherent skill set. What exactly does that mean? So part of the long, arduous journey with me running this organization, teaching teens to think, not just teens, but people in general, to think, is to think about that. What is your inherent skill set? And frame your life around that. And I'll say this one thing before we go to the clip. There's a famous quote or cliche that says, once you do what you love, or you're able to find a job that caters to what you love or something along those lines, you never work another day in your life. Once you find out what you love to do and you're able to monetize that, you never work another day in your life, because work doesn't seem like work. It's what you love to do. So the next time we talk discovering your inherent skill set, check them out.
Final note I want to bring out there, and again, what I'm saying is I'm not saying don't take college education seriously. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't take education. I'm not saying college isn't important. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when you're going and pursuing your higher education, do it with a strategy. Do it with a plan. The reason why I say that is because a lot of your multimillionaires that exist today, and I don't want to give a speech, I'm going to open the question up to y'all. How many of you know of, not personally, but know of people who have not graduated college and are millionaires, multi-millionaires, and to some extent billionaires today?
I know some.
Can you run off one person, one off a name, one person? I'll bring.
I'm gonna have to say Jay-Z probably. I'm not too sure, because not only did he make money off his music career, he made money off his clothing. He had invested in stocks and all that. So throughout all his hard work, he became, I think, maybe the first African American millionaire.
Billionaire. Very good. Yes, he did not go to college. Neither did P.Diddy, whom you know. Neither did, just bring it down to your generation, YouTube stars. How many of you know or heard of DDG?
I know DDG.
DDG.
I watch his videos all the time. He's funny.
That's YouTube. He's of your generation.
And he a rapper too?
He a rapper.
He's your generation. He's no more than 20 years old, I think, somewhere around there. You 18, 17, 18?
17.
17.
He's in his 20s.
He's in his 20s. Bought a $2 million house. Didn't even finish college, right? But I'm not saying don't go to school. What I'm saying is he used what he does naturally. He promoted that and used technology today to be able to make him lucrative. That's what I want y'all to start thinking. That's why I say find out what you do naturally and pursue that. You understand? And then we can go into Mark Zuckerberg. We can go into Bill Gates. We can go into Michael Dell.
Yeah, I was about to bring up Bill Gates.
all of them. Social media empire, those companies didn't even exist 20 years ago. Well, 25 years ago. And now here's a new medium that they tapped into, and they're making millions of dollars because they did what they do naturally and made it work for them.
So that concludes the discussion that you had. I hope you learned a lot from these young people. They inspire me. I hope they inspire you. Stay tuned for more discussions that I have with more teens in the specific topic. What do you love to do? What is your 5-year, 10-year plan? And see what they come up with, and give it some time. In 5 years, 10 years, you may see these same young people running corporations, starting their own business, making an impact in the community and the world at large. Thank you for giving your time. Stay tuned.